All right. Now let's talk about compliance. Now, what is compliance? When we say compliance, or when we say that someone is in compliance, all we want to say is that the person is simply following the rules and regulations that has been set. Now, when we say compliance, compliance simply means following rules and regulations. Now, when we say someone is in compliance, meaning that the person is following the laws that have been set. So in cybersecurity, when we say compliance, we are saying that compliance is ensuring that the requirements of laws, regulation, industry codes, and organizational doctrines are being met. Isn't that so easy? Now, when we talk about compliance framework, now a framework is a structured guideline that have been put together to help to make sure that companies are in compliance. So for you to be in compliance, we need to make sure that you have certain principles you are following. There are certain requirements that you are following. These requirements is what we call a framework. So a compliance framework, as defined over here, I define it as a structured set of guidelines to aggregate or harmonize, then integrate all compliance requirements applicable to an organization. But in an interview, and you are being asked that what is compliance or what is compliance framework, compliance is literally adhering to rules and regulations. Frameworks are structured guidelines that helps organization to be in compliance. Simple, and you are done. Now, I want us to talk about the various compliance that we have. Now, there are so many kinds of compliance. But what I want us to talk about is some various frameworks that I've highlighted. What I'm going to do in this class is that I'm going to give you a brief overview of these frameworks. Tell you what these are. I've told you what these are. In my subsequent classes, I'll go ahead, take these frameworks one by one. Now tell you what you need to know about these frameworks, how to make sure your organization is meeting these various standards. Now let's start. When we talk about FedRAMP, what is FedRAMP? FedRAMP is the Federal Risk Authorization Management Program. Now, FedRAMP standardizes the security assessment, authorization, and the continuous monitoring of cloud products and services which are used by federal agencies. Now, what is HITRUST? HITRUST provides a comprehensive framework for managing security. HITRUST is being birthed out of HIPAA. But what is HIPAA? HIPAA is the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act. Remember, whenever you see an act, you should remember that that is a law. Now, HIPAA sets a standard for protecting sensitive patient data in the health industry. How do they do that? We want to ensure that confidentiality, integrity, and availability of electronic protected health information is being attained. So in short, HIPAA sets out the standard for protecting PHI or EPHI. What is GDPR? Now, GDPR is the General Data Protection Regulation. Now, at first, GDPR used to be an European law on data protection and privacy for all individuals within the EU and the European Economic Area. But remember that the UK is now out of the EU. So not just the EU, but the EU and the UK, because now the UK are out. Now, it addresses export of personal data outside the EU and the EEA areas. SOX, that's the Sarbanes-Oxley Act. Now, it sets the requirement for the US public company boards, management, and public accounting firms concerning the accuracy and reliability of corporate disclosures. Now, the SOX deals with financial data. NIST CSF. NIST is the National Institute of Standard and Technology. NIST is going to be your best friend in this class. It's a voluntary framework that provides a policy framework of computer security guidance of how private sector organizations in the US can assess and improve their ability to prevent, detect, respond cyber attacks. Not just that, but to govern. Remember that the NIST has changed the various labels that they have. It starts from govern, detect, prevent, respond, and to be able to monitor cyber attacks. Now let's go ahead. Now CCPA, when we talk about CCPA, what is CCPA? CCPA is a state statute intended to enhance Privacy Act and consumer protection of residents of California in the United States. So the CCPA, the full meaning of CCPA is California Consumer Private Act. RMF, the Risk Management Framework. That is one of my favorite frameworks. It's a unified information security framework for the entire federal government that replaces legacy certification and accreditation processes. ISO 27001. It is an international standard for information security management systems, ISMS, that provides requirements for establishing, implementing, and maintaining continually improving an ISMS. That is the ISO 27001. Now let's talk about SOC 1 and SOC 2. SOC 1 reports focuses on controls that are relevant to financial reporting, while 2 reports addresses controls relevant to security, availability, processing integrity, and confidentiality and privacy of information systems. FISMA, that is the Federal Information Security Management Act. It is a United States federal law. Remember, it's an act. So it's a federal law enacted to boost computer and network security within the federal government and affiliated party. So remember, FISMA is also a law. Catch us in the next class.